Hello everyone. It is 2:30 Central Time, and that means we are up to the May to August 2026 post number 12, live number 4. I feel like we're farther along than that, but that's where we are. We're going to pick up talking about our bundles. So in the first video, we talked about we covered the front of the catalog. We talked about quick and easy. We talked about the kits and the mix and match and the scrapbooking workshop kits. Then we looked at the first set of suites in video number 2, the second set of suites in video number 3, and now we're going to pick up and we're going to go pretty quickly through bundles, stamps, dies, punches, and embossing folders. So how can we go so fast? That's going to become clear in just a few seconds. So let me change the camera, and we're going to start talking about the new impressions plate. Now, we talked about this a little bit earlier on, and I told you I had a sample to show you. I also posted a video about this just an hour ago that kind of showed you how this works, right? So there are 2 bundles that work with this, and I'll change up my camera in just a second, my zoom, so that you can see those. But basically, you run the die through the cut and emboss machine as normal, and it cuts out around your design. Then you run it through a second time with the impressions mat instead of, it's a different sandwich, right? And that gives you all the depth and the texture. Now, you typically will spritz your paper with water so that it is more flexible when it goes back through to make that impression. So as long as I've got this camera zoomed in, let me show you the sample that we made at On Stage. So number 1, this color is the Crisp Cantaloupe. This die is from the Opulent Oasis bundle. And so isn't that amazing? So the first time you cut it through, cuts it out. The second time through with the impressions plate, which is, I don't know, it's much more like a pad. It's very rubbery, kind of like a silicone mat, but not. And that's where you pick up all of this texture in your die. So remind you of a hybrid, but remember that hybrid has the embossing folder and the dies that are separate. This is all the same die, but it's 2 steps to it. Okay, so now let me pull my zoom back out a bit so you can see. So as we introduce this new plate, we have 2 bundles that are designed to work with it. One is the Opulent Oasis bundle, and the other one is Phrases and Frames. Now, this is kind of small, right? You can't really tell a whole lot about the bundle here. So what do you do when you need to see something closer up, right? Well, you could go to the online store and pull it up there, but you can also note that the stamp set is shown on page 50, and the impression dies are shown on page 58. So when we get to that section, you're going to be able to see how those are all referencing each other. I love all these things that are tying back. When we look at these bundles, we're looking for our icon in without the suite symbol, right? Because the suites the bundles that were in suites, we've already taken a look at. So right now we're focusing on those that are new, but were not part of the suites. You've got loads of samples on each of these pages, so don't overlook those. I've made some notes to myself so that hopefully I can point those out as well. So the samples that you see here and here are with the Phrases and Frame bundle. See these frames? Look at all this detail you get with the frame. Of course, that paper is from the Sunset Coast. Then here's some Lily of the Valley going on here. Lily of the Valley again. And then remember that texture that's in the bundle that's part of the scrapbooking side of that? That is from there. And then here's a fern and flora sample as well. And the playful banner dies here. And then this is that large stamp from that blue, oh, I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, oh, actually it's right here, Michelle. Just look down a bit. Ha ha ha. It's from the Life in Bloom bundle. So here's that texture that you see here. Here's this label and stamp from here. So pay attention to your samples. Don't overlook this. Casing the catalog is one of my very favorite things to do. Okay, so now we've had our lesson in the icons, the impressions plate, the samples. Now let's take a look at what we have here. So the phrases and frames and the opulent oasis, those are both designed to work with the new impressions plate, and they are not part of a suite. Now the other three bundles here are parts of suites. But again, and see here you have some of the multi-language icons going on. All four of these are available in both English and French. Moving over to the next page, and we have suite, 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 suite. So all four of these are parts of suites. So let's take a look at our samples, right? Okay, now where did my zoom go? I'll zoom. Okay, I've zoomed us in as much as I can at that height. So remember this paper that we saw? Here's that scalloped, and then the circle dies that we saw. Look how cool that is there. And this is that Velvet Meadow. I'm going with that name, okay? This looks like maybe some boutique blossom up here. Yep, that's what I'm sticking with. So you get some really nice samples. You get to see some of the designer series paper in use as well. We're not going to look really at the designer series paper until the next video. Now I'm going to scoot down just a bit this section because we have these four. None of them are part of suites, right? So we have Safari Smiles, and we have a sample that we'll look at right here. Aren't they adorable? So super sweet bundle there with lions and elephants. Then the Garden Gatherings is here. And again, we get to see that if we want to see a close-up of that stamp set, that's going to be on page 47, the dies on page 60. This stamp set's on 46, and the dies are on page 59. The gears and textures, now that is not new. It was introduced in the January to April, but I thought I'd pull it back out since it is, I don't know, I thought I'd pull it back out. Let's just stick with that. I intend to use this quite a bit in the album that I'm making for Hardin. I have not done so yet, but I think this is a super basic bundle to have on hand that has all of these great texture elements, hence the term texture right in the title. So yes, so anyway, that's why I pulled it back out. At least that's what I'm going with. The balloon festoon bundle. Oh my gosh, guys, the largest balloon here that you can't, it's so deceiving. But this is a huge die. It is the size of a card. Actually, it's even slightly bigger than your regular card. When we look at the samples, here's the balloons in action. Here is the gears and texture and Garden Gatherings, as well as the Safari Smiles. So this is amazing. We have 4 bundles here, 4 samples here that all tie together. I'd be willing to bet if we come back over here, we've got 4 bundles here and 4 samples here, and they all tie together. So I just think the coordination that has gone into this catalog is just like nothing we've seen before. I'm going to stick with that too. This is all crooked on my desk and bothering me. Okay, so then on these bundles, these are all 4 parts of sweets, and then we have the samples that are featuring each of these sweets. So we saw those in the sweet section. Here is that die that I used in Hardin's album. Here it is again, used here. So wanted to be sure I pointed that out. Well, actually, I wanted that to go over here. Okay, so then these 4 are not part of sweets. These 2 are new, Words and Wishes and Playful Packaging. Now I do have Words and Wishes, so let me show that to you. So here you can see the greetings in this dance set. It's amazing greetings, and I love this cake. You are the best. To someone who's always there when I need you, thanks for being so fabulous. Life is better with you around. You make life sweeter than cake. Life would be so much duller without you. And then the dies. Now, you guys that have been around me a while know how I feel about these bubble words, right? I love these. I love to put the outside, I love to put this on a foam sheet, and then I use the more detail, the smaller words, with an adhesive sheet. That makes them easy to work with. Now these didn't fit all on one magnetic sheet, so I've actually inserted 2. It's a little tight in there, but I'm making that work. But you have best wishes, for, thank you, happy, and birthday. And then you have a sample here with happy birthday. I feel like I'm bouncing around a good bit, but I love how that is done. And then the little presents. What are they cut out from? Here. Here are the little presents that you see scattered around here too, and some gorgeous blending. So that bundle is $56.50. You put the yay in every day. That's pretty fun too. Oh, so Words and Wishes. I think that's a great basic to have on hand as well. And if you're not sure, I've pulled this out for years. Oh, okay, never mind the little collision that happened over here. The crash of my tower. Okay, fix that later. Don't have a place to put it. But this is what I mean by these bubble sayings. So I've put the large outline on a foam sheet. Clearly this has been knocked off a few times. The adhesive has picked up some fuzz. And then I used the white with an adhesive sheet, and that made it really easy to put together. So I love these little word bubble sets. Playful packaging. There's a sample here that's used the stamp on a card, right? So I love that they've pointed out to us that, you know, let's see, this is where I get caught up too. You've told me that this is packaging, and therefore that's where my brain has gone. And now you've shown me that it's more. So these are handles. These fold up and make little bags or boxes. I don't have this. I haven't played with this. Haven't seen a whole lot from it, but I love that the sample that's featured is not a box, because they've told me it's packaging. I know to expect that, but this is a different use for it, and I think that's pretty cool, extending the value, if you will. The Banner Sayings bundle, that is a carryover, not new, and same as the Words of Beauty with those bubbles as well there. Now, and here is a sample with that Words of Beauty, and pay attention to this designer series paper. We're going to see more of that, and I'm super excited about it. then when we come over, so here we have two that are new. One is this All a Flutter bundle, and it's butterflies with a punch, right? The Party Dies bundle is a carryover. It's not new. Nature's Symphony bundle, that's not new either. Exciting Times, that is new, and it is a stamp set and a punch, and I do have that. So here is the stamp, right? And then the punch. Now the punch is going to punch out the center of this stamped image, the outer edge of this one. So it gives you some fun layering ideas, because it's pretty easy just to trim this out. And you could even use your punch to do the little rounded cut out here if you wanted to. That could be possible. The sample gives us this great guy card. Actually, it looks like we may have to give this a go pretty quickly. Okay, let me get that out of the way. So this is how your stamp sets come initially. And what I'm doing is I tape this here, I peel this off, ink it up, then I stamp, bring this over, and then when that's dry, I tape that. Well, actually, I'll do this, put tape on this side, the tear and tape, close it over. When I open it back up, this is here. My stamped images show through the window here. But anyway, what I wanted to look at is, let me find, see, I cleaned up, and that was, I know I need something, I don't have it. Where's this? Actually, I want to see. That sample makes me think that, okay, so that stamped image is going to fit within the punch. And then we're also going to get a border from this inner stamp. So I love this. And if you haven't done something like that before, I think that's a great thing. You can use the window of the negative of your punched out to see what's going to fit, or you can layer it how I did as well and see how that is going to fit. So I think that's a pretty cool stamp, and I love this. Happy birthday to you. My church has a ministry with the veterans and the veterans in our town, and that's mostly men in that VA, in the veterans home. So we always have a birthday card for each veteran, and then we like to have, I don't know, they love the cards. They love getting the cards. So I'm always looking for these masculine-ish sets that I can use in that ministry. Sometimes as a church, we get together and make the cards, and then sometimes I donate from my stash what I have. All right, now I need to, hopefully y'all are not getting dizzy with me going back and forth on the Zoom. The Stampin' Positioner, this is brand new, and this I'm in love with. I struggle to get things straight, or sometimes to get a clear image. And the Stampin' Positioner, you might remember we had the Stamparatus a while back, and we could stamp both photopolymer and red rubber stamps with it. We used a cushion, if you will, to give extra, I don't even know what, for our photopolymer stamps, because the red rubber was thicker and had the built-in cushion. So this is the Stampin' Positioner, right? So Take this out so you can see. I've got 2 magnets. They have handles, if you will, right? So that's pretty awesome to be able to pick those up. These are springy. Okay, I have these little holes here, and I also have these to hold the grid paper in place. I have 2 plates. I have 1 plate with a grid that covers the whole surface, and then I have 1 that covers the partial, and that's, oh my gosh, these holes. That's what these holes along the outer edge are for. So you can stamp down and then move, whether it's depending on the width of your stamp, whether you're going down 2 holes each time or just 1. I've been using the larger plate more often, but the grid paper, so you have grids on both sides, but these holes line up right here. And so I'm going to put this one back on here because the holes holding your grid paper in place are pretty awesome, because that prevents it from moving around, and you get a it's easier. You don't have to adjust this after every time you stamp, because your photopolymer stamps tend to stick to the paper and try to pull it back up. That was an issue we had with the Stamparatus. You'll notice here we've got also a corner that's kind of, so you can position your paper in this corner between the holes, like this, right? Or even here between these 2, right? That lines up, and then you could stamp here. Because this is spring loaded and it's not a hinge, the whole surface is flat, so you don't have to stay away from any edge. Okay. What I've done here, you saw in Hardin's book where I had die cut and then stamped the notebook paper, if you will. I was able to die cut a bunch of those and then stamp them all at once using the Stampin' Positioner. Right, so I put my stamp down before I taped this down, and should put it right side up. Then I was just able to insert my, anyway, taped it down. I'm not explaining this very well at all, but it'll be much easier with the live demonstration. Clearly I'm going to need to do that separately outside of here, but this allows you to stamp multiple images, die cut all at once, and then stamp them all quickly and easily without having to adjust your stamp on your block and risk getting out of the lines, or stamp and then line it up and hope it doesn't shift inside your cut and emboss machine. So I love this tool. We were able to pre-order during, I don't know, a 2-week or so window as demonstrators ahead of time, and then we had to wait until it became available for general sale. So if you haven't gotten this, please do. I do still have my Stamparatus. You know, for red rubber stamps, I love it. And for red rubber, because you can't see the image as it's coming onto your cardstock, the Stamparatus was great for knowing where it was going to go. Knowing where it was going to go. And I love the grid pad. Right, this is the grid paper. For one, I love the size, but 2, it's a great surface for stamping on its own. So anyway, and you can buy them all individually. Well, actually, hold on a second. You can buy the positioner and the 2 plates together, and then you can buy the grid paper separate. Now, will there be extra plates that you can purchase? I don't know. You know, I did that with the Stamparatus. I had lots of plates that I used with my Stamparatus, and that made it easy. I could quickly jump between projects having more of those clear plates than I had bases. And of course, because those were hinged, you could flip them over and use both sides of it, where you can't do that with this. So as long as I have red rubber stamps in my collection, I will still keep a Stamparatus or two or more. I'm not going to disclose how many I might have, but I have more than two. Let's just go there. Okay, so that is the Stampin' Positioner and the grid paper. And I guess I just closed this up. What did I do? Hold on. We are, sorry, I just completely closed my book. Okay, that is page 43. The small skinny plate is great for those, ombre, where you're stamping like down your card. Gosh, I've got a favorite card that I bet I can't lay my hands on, but anyway, this is going to be a great tool for us. Okay, now we're moving into the stamp sets, and now you'll notice that the stamp sets are much larger. Instead of having 4 bundles to a page, we have 2 stamp sets to a page, and we have a sample with each one. Wow. So, this is just amazing. And we still have our icons that are going to tell us that this is part of a bundle, or it's part of a bundle and a suite. I just can't tell you how amazing I think that is, how thoughtful this catalog is. So we start out with a new stamp set. It's not part of a bundle, not part of a suite, but it's a large Get Well Soon. And you can see on the 2 samples, one of them, they used the Get Well Soon. They stamped 3 different colors. They've used some ephemera with it. And then this one, they just stamped the Get Well. So because it's a large and it's photopolymer, it was pretty easy to mask off the pieces that they wanted to use. Then down at the bottom, we have the floral vignette. And maybe I will zoom in a bit on these. I'll just move my paper around, my catalog around. So the floral vignette, I do not have this, but I think this is really pretty, very feminine. It would make a simple stamping project pretty easily. And then you can see how they've used it as the focal point of this card, and then the background for this card. Again, showing you how versatile all of these stamps are. Then here is the Exciting Times, which we just looked at, telling us it is part of a bundle. There's no suite symbol, so it's not part of a suite. It is available in English and in French. And then here you can see they've turned that greeting that I felt was masculine on the previous sample. It's very feminine here. And then I love how they used this, I want to call it a sunburst, but that's not exact. Anyway, they've used the other image to create this Let's Celebrate You Did It. So I definitely need to use that in Hardin's album. So it's the summer of Hardin, I guess. All right, then Sending Salutations. We saw this earlier on in the very first video. This was one that we did get at On Stage, and they talked about how awesome it is for those quick and easy projects, and because it's got some great sentiments, and it's a nice mixed font. Sending best wishes for health and healing. Here's to a new chapter. I don't know what I'd do without you. So photopolymer set, obviously, because that's what we carry now. Okay, I don't want to put that over there. Put that over there. And then Caring Animals, also new, not part of a bundle, not part of a suite. But how cute is this? So you get huge thanks with some little toucans, or yeah, maybe it's a bird. Okay. And then the lion, and then I'm not sure if that's an alligator or a crocodile. I can't tell from here, but I think just the happy birthday would make some really fun cards to have on hand for my grandkids. Moving over, turning the page, Now, the Heirloom Boutique was part of a suite and a bundle, but you get more samples with these guys. So here's a sample with the Heirloom Boutique. They've used this image here to create this background on the banner stamp. Heat embossed lots of love, and then did some coloring on that floral image. Garden Gatherings is also part of a bundle. And then here's the sample with it. Scalloped Blooms down here, and Boutique Blossoms, both parts of bundles, both parts of suite. Actually, these are all part of the same suite. Now, that doesn't give us the page that these were featured as a suite or a bundle. Now remember, we've got the table of contents that tells us where the suites begin. The suite collections begin on page 16, the bundles begin on page 36. If we go to page 16, page 15, we get the page numbers for each suite. So it's pretty easy to use this to navigate. Okay, so then back up here in the stamps. Gears and Textures, part of a bundle. Here's a sample. Flowering Meadow, part of a bundle and a suite. And here is another sample. Guys, if we just case the catalog, we could stay busy for the whole duration of the catalog. I need that to get out of my way. Okay, then down at the bottom, we have Safari Smiles, part of a bundle. Remember the elephants and the lions. Another sample. Then we have this balloon festoon, right? Wait till you see how big the die is for this, guys. It is part of a bundle, and here is a sample with it. Now we see this playful packaging used with some packaging. So here's the handle that we saw with the die, right? We saw the die that did this little, I don't even know what to call that, edge. But the stamp set is featured here, so we get to see some of that stamp creating the background. And then thank you. So I don't know where I was going with that, lost my thought. Words and Wishes down here at the bottom, awesome bundle. And how cute is this? You are the best. And we've used some tiny circles and used a letter in each of those to spell out best. I think that's quite clever, just showing us additional versatility in these stamp sets. And again, tells us it's part of a bundle. Words of Beauty, not new, but part of a bundle. Banner Sayings, not new, but part of a bundle. And I think it's pretty awesome that the bundle pricing, oh wait, has it? No. Hold on, did I say that? Did the bundle pricing carry over? That's kind of interesting because that didn't normally happen previously. So let's go look. So here's Gears and Textures. We get bundle pricing for Gears and Textures, yet it came from a previous catalog. Typically that bundle pricing would have retired with the catalog, and it has not here. So I think that is worth taking note of. Then here is a stamp set that is not part of a bundle and is new in this catalog, and it gives you this frame and then two samples with it. Now you can see that they didn't necessarily want to use the blank part in the center, so that's where they've put their greeting and some other die cuts. So ways to use that you might not have thought of otherwise. I don't want to think about how they cut that out. Okay. Phrases and Frames, for that's new, and that is used part of the impressions. And some samples here. This is pretty cool. I like that. The Opulent Oasis. So both of these are part using those impressions plate. And Then moving over here, we have the Lily of the Valley, Life in Bloom, Fern and Flora. So all suites, all bundles. The simple alphabet is not new, carried over. Always good to have a simple alphabet. Then we have Nature's Symphony, not new, part of a bundle. Olive Flutter, part of a bundle, and new. Then we have the You're the Best here. This is a pretty fun, either cards from your grandparents or to your grandparents. Have some fun sayings. I love the way that they've brought these greetings into another bundle. And sometimes, again, I get tunnel vision. You told me that this went together, and that's the way I see it, and that's the way I use it. So I'm so happy to see the samples in the catalog that help me see more. I am a stamper that needs that. You may not be, but I certainly am. Then we have the Connected Together. This is a $1 million stamp set. Sue Campfield was part of the Frames and Phrases. I did not say that, but that is designed with Susan Campfield, a $1 million achiever. This one is Wendy Knowles. And kind of fun little stick figures there, and you can decorate them, add some hair. Hazel might have fun with that. Crafted with Care down here at the bottom. Remember, there's the little boxes, and we have done some coloring and stamping on them. But this is our Angel Policy stamp. We looked at that very early in the catalog and very small. Here it is much larger. We've got a Happy Mail stamp here, so inked with love. I like that too. So then we have a large background stamp called Moody Leaves. Family Celebration. I do have this one as well. And I want you to take note of this sample and the DSP behind it, because, oh my gosh, I sure was excited to see that. Here's the Family Celebration. So I love that we get the mixed, some part of the greeting in cursive, and then part of it is printed. And in so many choices, mom and dad, or mom and mom, gracious. Better half, or husband, wife, friend. So I think this was one we got at Onstage as well. So a couple of samples here. Happy birthday to my brother and to my mom in that one. Then Bordered in Beauty and Extraordinary Life. All of these four on this page are new and parts of a suite and a bundle, or a bundle and a suite, I guess it should be. Then Untouched Landscape is new, not part of a bundle, but there's 6 stamps that kind of layer up to give you different scene, background scene ideas. Thanks, Man. Now, I don't like all the stamps in this stamp set, but I love this classic Happy Birthday. I love this handwritten, You're Old, love ya, congrats. That's rough, and appreciate it. I could do without the bruh and the bro, even the dude, but I do like, sorry dude, I do like the sample here. So there you have it. Then the next page is all about the stamp cut and emboss machines. So if you are new to these, then this tells you that. And there are also QR codes where you can go get more information about how these machines work. I use my mini all the time because it's small, it's handy, I can pull it out, I can do it. So if it fits in the mini, then I'm going to go to that every time. But if I need to pull out the big one, it's beside the mini. It's just a heavier lift, if you will. It takes up more space on my crafting table, but could not do without them. And here you get a little bit, another sample with the impressions plate. Okay, now we're moving on to the dies section. And you can see we have some carryovers. We continue with the in and all our icons here, right? I'm looking for anything that might be standalone because the party banner is even part of a bundle. The perennial postage, that is a standalone carryover. I don't see any new items there. The party alphabet, that's part of a unique bundle, right? These two bundled together. Those are large dies. These are the dies that I use to spell out Hardin's name. So when you are naming your children, keep in mind how much will fit into spaces in the future like that. Key consideration, right? Over here, so the largest die is 4 3/16 by 5 3/4. It is card sized. So I don't have that yet. My friend Judy just did some adorable cards with this. You know, she regularly enables me, and she did on this as well. And then again, yeah, so everything new in the dies section is part of a bundle. And the carryovers, of course, Spotlight on Nature, Stylish Shapes, Our Everyday Arches, Nested Essentials, and these are, you know, yeah, these are the ones you pull out. These are the ones that you take with you on every crafting retreat, because you're going to use them. The last page for this video is the embossing folders and punches. So we have the 2 embossing folders that were part of the suites that we saw earlier, the Fern and Flora CD and the Floral Spray. Did I say 3D is what I meant to say? I have no idea what I actually said. They're both 3D embossing folders. And then this Story Keeping Hybrid is a standalone. And we've had this style before. This is one I probably won't get, but I can see that there's Good Times, This Is Us, Celebrate, The Story. So yeah, but maybe I'm different, but I probably won't get that, and I don't know that I can explain why. I would want to color my lettering so that it stood out more. It was more than just embossed, and that's probably just me. The punches, the Olive Flutter is new, the Rounded Rectangle is new, all the others are carryover, and you'll note that there are 4 circle punches listed, and I believe there are other punches and such on the online store. Okay, I feel like I raced through a good bit of that. I knew that it was going to take us a chunk of time to cover all of those sections, but I feel like it had great value. If you learn nothing else other than how to navigate this catalog and all the clues and the cues and the help that is available within the catalog. You know, a few years ago, Stampin' Up! Tried something a little different, and they didn't put all the dies in one section, and we lost our minds trying to find everything. And they heard us and immediately fixed it, which is amazing when you realize that catalogs are designed 2 years out. So even when we had the annual catalog and 2 minis, there was a catalog, there were probably 2-3 catalogs in between there, and they still fixed it. So they interrupted what they were doing, what had to go into final production almost immediately, and change it. They took out the back, anyway, they heard us and they made a change. And how amazing is that? Does that happen very often, that you get heard and you get that kind of reaction? I don't think it does. So I so appreciate the catalog and the thoughtfulness that went into this. I think it's just amazing. So anyway, what else is happening in the meantime while we've been chatting? So there is a word search post that went up just a few minutes ago, And then there is an ordering special graphic in 15 minutes. And thank you to Faye. You already qualified for the ordering special, so congratulations. You have until Thursday to take advantage of that ordering special. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I am here to help you. I'll be back live in 45 minutes, and we're going to finish up the catalog. We're going to look at all those in color products. We're going to look at the designer series paper, and believe it or not, you haven't seen all of it. I've got some really cool special things happening in the next section, so I hope to see you back in 45 minutes for that. And then the next video, we're going to go look at the online exclusives and that silly old bear. So I'll see you back in 45 minutes. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.